think tank, the Council on Foreign Relations. In fact, they're in one committee with the one New York Times reporter who who printed the false information. Her name was Judith Miller. One of the committees on the Council of Foreign Relations, she's on it with them. But no, they haven't gone away. What's worse is I think they've even grown. I think they've added to their numbers, and so there are a lot more of these think tanks that have kind of sprung up. There's never any consideration as to accuracy. And so it seems to me that when you've been wrong, someone should say, hey, I don't want to listen to you anymore. Stop publishing op-eds and stop publishing strategy papers when you can't prove that you've ever been correct about anything.
Ms. Rowley, you're a retired FBI special agent. You alleged that there was pre-9/11 intelligence that was ignored by your superiors at the FBI. Is that correct?
Yes, and it, in fact, did lead to a 2-year-long Inspector General investigation, as well as a Senate Judiciary investigation, which more or less confirmed what I was saying, that there were all of these, they called it failure to connect the dots, but it really was a systemic failure, and it wasn't, of course, in my case, I was talking about the FBI, but the CIA and the NSA had perhaps even greater failures, and so really, government-wide, 9/11 was a systemic failure.
So, by what if I'm to believe what you're saying, and I don't doubt it at all, that's why I wanted you on the program. In essence, Obama is really not that much different than Bush in continuing the same crazy policies of these neocons, in essence, who think that they can control the world and manipulate it, that they're great puppet masters. Isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah, there's an old story about the emperor has no clothes. What people forget is the ending of the story. Even after the little boy yells, you're naked, the emperor, and even when people maybe start snickering, he continues the march. And I think that pretty much sums up what's going on with Obama. He is absolutely, in some cases actually, even doing stupider things. And in some cases, maybe he's trying. The best you can maybe say is there are some areas that he's trying. But I think essentially we are watching the end of that emperor has no clothes story, where they just continue to march forward and really look like they haven't learned anything.
Well, where do these guys like Wolfowitz and Fife work? Who employs them?
Well, I think they get huge salaries from sitting on boards, largely. I can't say what Fife and Wolfowitz, but Zelikow, I just read a thing where he gets, on one board alone that he's on, he gets like $250,000, $300,000 for sitting on one board. I think that there are the things.
So it's more or less like the Clinton Library. They reward these guys with these slush funds.
Yeah, well, I think these think tanks are pretty well funded, and they also.
Colleen, let's go back to Benghazi. There's a lot of rumor going around that the ambassador was killed because he was transferring arms from Libya to Syria to support the so-called good guy rebels, who we well know were never good guys. Do you think that's factually true?
It's been written and reported by a variety of people, of writers, including Seymour Hersh wrote this not too long ago. But they kind of span the gamut, and so when you look out there and you see reports like this, and you can't just say, "Oh, that's Republican or Democrat, whatever," but they're really kind of spanning the gamut. I think that they're probably, at the very least, now whether he was how direct his involvement was, but did he know of arming of the rebel groups, and did he participate in some ways? I would say that the evidence is pretty clear that he did. Now, exactly what he did, of course, I don't think we know.
Well, I've noticed that McCain, a crazy warmonger who tried to start a war with Russia over Ukraine, and was screaming like a lunatic, foaming at the mouth for arms to the, quote, moderate Syrian rebels to overthrow Assad. I've noticed that the lunatic has shut his mouth for a few months because, in fact, by arming ISIS to overthrow Assad, he's gotten his way. Would you say that's an accurate statement?
Well, he hasn't been all that noisy lately, and I don't know the reasons for that. I don't even know if this is correct, but there are these photos that you will see, and they'll identify some of the characters who later then turned out to be in ISIS and al-Nusra, the al-Qaeda aligned groups in Syria. Now, if I was even close to being in those pictures, yes, I would be quiet myself. But, John McCain isn't a quiet guy, and I don't think he ever really admits that he's done anything wrong, and I don't think that even photographs, I suppose he can explain them. And number one, I don't know who those are. It's hard to tell when they just have people and they say, look, John McCain was meeting with all these people. But you know what? It does make sense because of these other...
Colleen, I hate to interrupt you, but a few weeks ago after ISIS took Ramadi and they had the victory parade of a half mile long of their Toyota trucks with machine guns, when I saw we did not fire a single rocket, that was it for me. I knew that they were basically our army. That was my conclusion. Is it false?
Well, you know what? That's the number one question. Why, when we are launching wars and drone bombing in all other areas, why are we being so ineffective in this case? And that's a very good question. It seems that there are lots of allies, I'll put allies in quotes too, like Saudi Arabia and other countries, Gulf countries. And the one thought is that we're afraid then of making some of these allies mad if we, if we concentrate on
what do you say to those people who are cynical and say it's a win-win situation, let them kill each other?
Well, if that quote-unquote worked, some of these things, if they worked, I wouldn't be so much of an opponent of this. But most of this stuff is not working. It is actually increasing, and ISIS is the last terrible example. If this worked and we were reducing the level of terrorism and making Americans safer and more secure, I would be for it. I haven't seen any evidence of that. I've actually seen our security be reduced. Since 9/11, pretty much everything that's gone on has increased terrorism and has reduced security and safety, not only for us, but for our allies, certainly for the poor journalists and humanitarian workers in the world. It's just a really bad situation. So until it seems people can figure this out and start acting wisely, I'm just going to continue, reading and writing about it.
Colleen Rowley, Rowley. I read your article, your quotes on InfoWars. Where else can we read your work?
Well, I don't write regularly, but I write for Huffington Post and Consortium News and sometimes antiwar.com. There's a variety of places that I post at.
Well, here's where opponents on many issues, I'm sure you're very liberal in your viewpoints, and I'm very conservative in most, but I see that we see things the same way when it comes to the decimation of individuals and artifacts in the Middle East, and I want to thank you very much for being our guest on the Savage Nation. Thank you so much. It's 49 minutes after the hour. This is the Savage Nation. The phone number is 855-400-7282. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
My Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust to protect my wealth. Call 800-BUY-COIN. Same old monsters, Wolfowitz, Douglas Feith, the same people who gave us Iraq and made up WMDs. They're at it again. And so it doesn't matter which stooge is wearing the tie and suit. Apparently someone else is running the puppet show. Chris, on KWQW radio, fire away. You're on the Savage Nation.
Dr. Savage, I'm what you consider a millennial, and I do not wear that title proudly. I totally agree with you about my generation, and I have to say this, given all of the resources at our fingertips, given all of, everything that's out there for us that previous generations did not have when it comes to...
Yes, because information is not knowledge. Information is not wisdom. Information is just a bunch of disconnected facts. And the millennials are the dumbest generation in American history, brought up on medication and Microsoft. They're as dumb as a mosquito, most of them. And they have no conscience. They're the Red Brigades of our time. Ghouls. And I'm sick and tired of everybody in the media catering. Millennials listen to this. They buy that. Who cares what they do? Who cares what ghouls buy?
Join the Savage Nation. Call now 855-400-SAVAGE. 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
It's been a hard day's night. Welcome to the Savage Nation. We're talking, I guess, about why are we letting a terrorist group rampage across the Middle East? Why are we letting Obama get away with double talking and lying us in the world that he's got a plan in ISIS when he doesn't? And that's what we've been talking about. I don't know a bigger topic. To me, national security is the number one issue. Always has been. The next big issue would be how much taxation there is in the country, whether they're robbing me to the point where I can no longer go to work anymore. And so the issue now is national security. We have a double-talking liar in the White House who says, yeah, we don't have a strategy yet. It's not worked out. It's the Iraqis' fault. It's the Pentagon's fault. But let me have an Army general introduce his husband at a Pentagon event. That we have a strategy for. He has no strategy for ISIS, but he has a strategy for pushing gays and lesbians into the military as far up the command as he can. That he has a strategy for, but no strategy for defeating ISIS. That's all. WMAL in Washington. Perry, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Yes, I want to answer one question about Wolfowitz. He ended up with the World Bank, sir. That's number one.
Oh,
he ended up,
well, you see, all roads lead to the World Bank, I guess.
Right, and like I told you a long time ago, this thing is really bigger than Obama. It's bigger than any of these presidents. I told you it's a consortium of international bankers and, of course, the neocons that have their own plan for the world, and just the president is just one of the tools, buttons that they push and control.
I agree with you. I'm not arguing with you. But Obama is so nakedly BSing us that it agitates me.
Well, you know, he's playing the role that he's...
Well, I understand he was selected because he's a good windbag. I get it. He's able to bamboozle most of the people in America. But doesn't it offend you to hear him come up with a statement that we don't have a full strategy yet in Iraq? And you know he's making it up as he talks? He's like Pinocchio, making it up out of whole cloth.
Well, you know, I can't say whether he's making it up or not because I'm not that astute into that, you know, the military policies and what's going on. So I'd be wrong to make a firm determination either way. But with the country and the world is in trouble, period. And we have to come back to more of a humble spiritual base and come together as a community. And
no, I noticed you said a humble spiritual base. I heard you just now. Are you saying that only religion can save America? We've been told religion destroyed America.
Well, only the true following of God, whether you're Jew, Christian, or Muslim. I mean, you follow the tenets of the three monotheistic faiths and do it thoroughly without worrying about certain politics or things. Just truly are serious about it. Then it will be a much better place. I remember, I'm only 53, but I remember you did pray in school. I remember that there were so many things that are not in place that were in place then, and I'm a young man, that is no longer in place, and it goes backwards.
Yes, but who took prayer out of the schools? Who took God out of the pledge? The anti-God ACLU. They're the ones who have unraveled America joint by joint. They're taking the country down piece by piece.
Yeah, well, I never looked at it that way.
But think about it. Think about the evil lawyers in the ACLU and what they've done. They're the ones who pushed gay marriage down our throats. How do you feel about same-sex or gay marriage? Do you think that's a moral thing?
Not at all. And I don't judge anybody, and I'm not, and that's way above my pay grade, but I am not with...
All right, hold it. Good. You don't judge anybody. Then why do you oppose gay marriage?
I don't, when I say I don't judge anybody, like if I met somebody who says, oh, I'm going to marry my husband, I'm not going to say congratulations, but I'm not going to say, you, I'm not, you evil, you this. Now I'm going to say, well, look, I don't agree with it. I hope you see a better way to do things, but, you know, hey, you know.
But why would you oppose the false canard of homosexual marriage? What is it about it that you would oppose?
Well, first of all, marriage is between a man and a woman, period.
In other words, the redefinition of the word itself, it's right out of some kind of playbook of the Soviet Union. It's absolute mind-bending speech and mind control.
No, you don't,